So we talked a little bit about different types of careers within the animal science field. So today we're going to talk about how we actually go about picking a career, whether that be in animal science or in a different industry. There's really 3 steps, and the first step is a self-analysis. So you're essentially looking at yourself first. The first thing you want to look at is your ability to do a job, or your capacity to perform. And really that just means, can you stand for a long period of time? Or, are you able to lift 50 pounds or more? It might be important if you're going to work on a farm to be able to lift a 50-pound bag of feed. That would be considered ability. You also want to look at your talent, which is your natural aptitude to do a job. And there are a lot of natural athletes out there. So if you're one of those natural athletes, that would be considered one of your talents. Physical makeup, that's going to be your strength, stamina, and health. If you maybe can't stand for long periods of time or something of that nature, you may not be able to do as many jobs as someone who could stand for a long period of time or lift that 50-pound bag of feed. Previous experience is any work that has been done in the past. And this one's kind of funny to me because I kind of think of it as the chicken and the egg conundrum, which one came first. And a lot of times it seems like it's like that with jobs. A lot of jobs want you to have previous experience, but how do you get previous experience without first having a job? So it's kind of an interesting spiral. Interests, these are things that hold your attention. You want to make sure that if you are working in a career, you actually are interested in it and, oh my goodness, what a novel concept, actually enjoy it. Your educational aspirations. So an aspiration is something that you are willing and able to get. You are willing to put forth the effort that it takes to go get something. That's an aspiration. So educational aspiration specifically is all about how much education you want and are willing to get. Attitude and values is how you see yourself. So what do you think of yourself? Are you a fun person to be around? That sort of thing. Flexibility is your willingness to change. I'm exhibit A for this. I, all through middle school and high school, was just going to vet school. I knew it. I was like, I'm going to be a vet. I'm going to be a vet. Well, I graduated college, and after working in a vet clinic for a couple years, actually while I was in college, I decided the industry just was not for me. And I also saw 4 long years and a lot of money at the end of a very long tunnel. And that kind of turned me off a little bit. So I graduated college with no real plan of what I wanted to do. Ended up working in healthcare for 3 years, which was not my forte. Let's just say that. It was not an enjoyable experience for me. And that's when I actually met someone through my healthcare job who taught agriculture. And I never thought I could because of my degree, but she said, no, I have the same degree that you do, and I teach ag, and here I am. But flexibility is your willingness to change, and you probably will have to change your mind a time or two, and that's okay. Your personality. So this is how another person would see you. So how do your friends describe you? Do they describe you as someone who's fun and outgoing? Do they describe you as someone who's quiet but cares? How would your friends describe you? Alright, so step 2 is then studying an occupation and getting as much information as you possibly can about a job. You want to find out a lot of different things, but the big things are the nature of the work. So what are you actually going to be doing? How many hours a week are you going to work? They say a 40-hour work week is right on the money, and that's where you should be, is a 40-hour work week. That's considered full-time, but some jobs require you to work overtime. Some jobs might require you to work overtime, but they're not going to pay you for it. The location. So where are you? Are you closer to the beach? Are you closer to the mountains? Are you out west somewhere? Where physically, geographically would you be? And then the working conditions. So this would be like, are you outside? Are you inside in a cubicle? What are the conditions? And the skills that are needed. So, do you need to be able to lift a 50-pound bag of feed? Do you need to be able to answer the phone? That sort of thing. Educational requirements. So this would include any college schooling, okay? So any schooling at all, really. So we're talking high school diploma, associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree. A lot of jobs nowadays require a 4-year bachelor's. And then there's the degrees that are beyond a bachelor's, which are your master's and your PhDs and stuff like that. Not many jobs require that, but some do. A lot of times, if you get a job with a bachelor's degree and they want you to have a master's, your employer may actually pay for it. There might be some special licenses that you need. Like, in order to become a teacher, you have to have a 4-year bachelor's degree and a teaching license. Now, if you're majoring in a teaching major in college, my understanding is, and I could be wrong about this, my understanding is that once you graduate and you have your bachelor's in teaching, whatever subject that might be, like my sister-in-law has a degree in elementary education. She teaches 3rd grade. When she graduated, she also received her teaching license for North Carolina. Okay, so that was kind of like an automatic, whereas I did not have a teaching degree, so I actually had to go out and get my teaching license, which meant that I had to take more school, which was fine. I was halfway to a master's anyway, so I figured I'd finish that. So I ended up getting my teaching license and my master's kind of at the same time. And then there's also sometimes some special trainings, like continuing education. A lot of careers require you to keep up with that. You also want to look at the demand for the job. All right, there might not be a whole lot of demand for underwater basket weavers, but there might be some. There's definitely a demand for agriculture teachers. We're at a shortage in the state, and really a shortage in the nation of agriculture teachers. You want to look at the pay. Can you live on what you're going to make? Benefits. Benefits are a big one. So benefits would include healthcare, retirement, other types of insurance. I know that, like, looking at this when you're in high school is like, why do I care? I'm on my parents' insurance and I'm not real worried about retirement yet. Trust me, when you graduate college, you'll be worried. Opportunity for promotion. So if you start out kind of at the bottom, is there a way for you to grow within that career or within that position? So say you start at a really big company and you start out at the lowest level possible, but there's an opening a level above you and you interview for it and you can move up to that. So you're kind of moving through the steps. And also job security. So job security kind of goes along with demand. Job security is, how safe am I? So what chance do I have of being fired, basically? You want a really low chance of being fired. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. You want a very low chance of being fired. So you want to make sure that if the job is in high demand, and, like, for example, agriculture teachers, we'll use that as an example because I'm in the industry. So there's a huge demand for agriculture teachers, especially in North Carolina. My job is pretty secure because my principal knows that if he fires me, he's probably going to have a harder time replacing me. Now, that being said, you still want to act with professionalism. You don't want to completely just goof off and do nothing and, not act in a professional manner. You don't want to do that because regardless, if you act up, you're probably going to get fired. But the thought is that if you do everything else right, you act professional, you do your job, that you're not going to get fired. That's what job security means. Really, the best way to learn more about a job is through actual work experience, either in that career or in a career similar to it. This kind of comes back to our chicken and the egg conundrum. Which one comes first, the job or the job experience? Step 3 is to actually make a decision. So you're going to look at yourself and your self-analysis, and then you're going to look at the requirements of all the jobs that you've considered, and you are going to match yourself with the best occupation for you. Always have a second choice. Always have a second choice. I think I'll say it again. Always have a second choice. Make sure that, you've got a couple careers laid out and you kind of know where you're headed. But also leave opportunities to change plans in the future. More and more people nowadays are changing careers like halfway through their life. They're getting into their 30s and 40s and they're like, I want a career change. and they'll completely change careers, industries, everything. I don't know that I would necessarily agree with that, or I certainly would not do that, but that's a me thing. But that is something that's going on nowadays. These are a whole bunch of different sources of occupational information. So these are all different places where you can get information about careers. So your counselors, your career development coordinators, Miss Bailey is our career development coordinator here at Clayton. Your agricultural education teacher. I'm pretty much a good resource for ag careers. I mean, if you want to be outside the agriculture industry, I may not be able to help you as much, but I can try. Parents and relatives. If you have an uncle that has a really cool job, go shadow your uncle for a day. See if you like it. People that work in specific jobs. So shadowing a veterinarian is a really popular idea when talking about the SAE project, and they would be a really great source of information about the veterinary career. The Dictionary of Occupational Titles. This is a little bit outdated because we do have so many other sources of information out there, but it's an actual thing, and it provides descriptions of more than 20,000 jobs in the United States. It's a lot of jobs. Books and pamphlets, internet sites. As long as you're getting good, solid information from the internet, and you're not going to Wikipedia, you're doing pretty good. And then actual work experiences, of course. So these are just some general education requirements. If you remember the categories of careers that we talked about, the scientists and engineers categories typically require either a master's or doctoral degrees. So that means that after you get your 4-year bachelor's, so you graduate from high school and you go into, we'll just say NC State, because why not? Go Wolfpack. You go into NC State and you get a 4-year degree. And that 4-year degree is, let's just say, engineering, general engineering. Great. If you actually get a job in the engineering industry, a lot of times they want you to have something even beyond a bachelor's. So that means your master's is another 2 years on top of that. And then doctorates are even more, and they're involved. They're very involved. So it involves classes, and it requires actually writing. So master's will require a thesis. Doctorate requires a dissertation, and that's like a giant research study that you put on all by yourself. You have some help, but for the most part, it's all on you. Masters and doctorates are very difficult to get, very grueling, and they are, they can be tough, but they can also be pretty insightful too. You end up doing a lot with your research. It's pretty cool. You can get published and that sort of thing. So, as grueling as it is, it's worth it. About 85% of the jobs in the marketing and merchandising category, if they require a college degree, they require a baccalaureate degree. So that's going to be your 4-year degree. Most jobs, if you find a job that has the words laborer, helper, aide, or attendant, or worker, anything like that, if you have a job title that has one of those words in it, typically all they require is a high school diploma. So that's something that you can do right out of high school. As always, let me know if you have any questions. Sorry, this was a short PowerPoint that went a little bit long in the video. But anyways, let me know if you have any questions. As always, thanks for watching.